I'm Ian Baird. I have a company here in town called Scorpius Tech. We've released a couple of iPhone apps called Cocktails and our latest Handshake, which came out this week. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the zen of iPhone development, which is just writing simple, effective mobile apps that will appeal to everyone, technical and non-technical users. Zen of the iPhone can really be summed up in three things: simplicity and lack of time, and also information accessibility. The average user has about 15 seconds to spare by the time they pull out their phone and they want to get to the information to get to a task. So you have to think about appropriate features. Compare a mobile Photos app to like iPhoto. Photos allows you to view images, share images, and maybe set your wallpaper. Whereas iPhoto, you can go in there, you can create books, you can bind up slideshows, you can do all sorts of things like that. It's just this cornucopia of features that make sense on the desktop, but not on the mobile device. So iPhoto would not be a successful iPhone app. And there are a bunch of others that would not translate very well. So simplicity is really, really key. You need to figure out your core functionality. Then you need to make it possible for a non-technical user to take this device right out of their pocket and get their job done in about 15 seconds or so. Now, none of this, of course, applies to gaming. Gaming has much, much higher engagement levels. Gamers are going to sit there, and I can tell you I have a friend, Kyle Richter, here in town who has a trivia app, and his engagement levels are just off the charts. I'm like, dude, you need to put some ads in that. Anyways, so getting started, you need to apply to Apple. You need to pay your 99 bucks. I believe it's 199 for a company. You're going to get a cert, and you're going to get access to the SDK. What Apple and AT&T will tell you is that they need to be able to control what goes on the phone, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, you pay the piper. So tools you're going to need. You're going to need an iPhone, especially if you have a network-based app like Handshake. You've got to test on 3G and on Edge. It's just not enough to test on Wi-Fi. Plus, if you have a camera-based phone, or sorry, camera-based app, the iPod Touch is just not going to do it for you. Do you see a camera here? Nope. So anyways, another good thing about the iPod Touch is that you really don't want to be in the debugger when a call comes in. I've had that happen before. It's kind of weird. Hold on, let me just kill GDB. So moving on, next tool you're going to need. You're going to need a Mac. None of these tools, none of this development stuff runs on Windows, nor will it ever. More than likely, it will continue to run on Xcode and on the Mac for a long time. You're also going to need Leopard. So just buy a Mac. Overall, for development, you're going to need a coder who is well-versed in Objective-C and UIKit. This is not the time for on-the-job training. It's really, really difficult right now. Apple's doing their best to train people, but you got to get someone who groks the frameworks. Art and graphics, if you want people to accept your app and want them to adopt it and be passionate about it, it's got to be beautiful. It's got to look like Apple's apps. So hire an artist. If you're a developer like I am, trust me, this is something you can't do yourself. Beta testing is really difficult. You get a maximum of 100 users. So I suggest using Google Groups. You can hold your provisioning profile. You can hold the beta test. You can even make it private. Lock it down to that 100 testers and use Ad Hoc Helper to get the IDs off your beta testers' phones. Some ancillary tasks you're going to have to think about. You're going to need an app site. And if you're thinking, I'll just whip one out in Flash, fail. This thing does not do Flash. Do not pass Go. Do not collect $200. Support site, you're going to use FogBugs. I mean, everyone should use FogBugs. It's awesome support. So shipping the app, you got to think art, you got to think copy, you got to think price. You're going to have a 512 by 512 piece of art on the App Store, a little bit of copy, and your price, and that's it. Other than the reviews, that's how you're going to sell your app, as well as public relations. These tend to be the three sites, and there are a few more, but these are the three biggies that iPhone users tend to go to look for, suggested new apps and things like that. Quote John Gruber, Handshake should ship with the iPhone. But anyways, moving into the App Store, it is awesome and it sucks at the same time. The review system is terrible. It's this one-way conversation. People post all sorts of crazy crap on there, and there's really nothing you can do about it. More quirks in the App Store. Apple keeps messing around with it. It's really a moving target, and the problem is it affects your sales. If you're in the top of the list, you sell. If people have to scroll, your sales numbers go down. And when I say they go down, they hit the floor. So, got to think a little bit about release schedule as well. Apple's turnaround on hotfixes sucks. This harkens back to the days of pressing a CD-ROM and putting it out to market and having to press another CD-ROM full of hotfixes. Pre-internet days, so about 2 to 3 days. Apple's getting a little faster, but still, you got to test your stuff. The last thing I'm going to talk about is iTunes Financial. there's some people having some problems with it right now. Apple pays out monthly, so if you're thinking you're going to quit your job, you're going to sell this, you better make sure that after you're done, you've got 45 days built up where Apple might get around to paying you after the sales have accrued for that month. So I'm done.